Hi, people.
Hello, everyone. Mary Ellen is going to be a little late.
Okay. It's all right.
Coming.
Is April coming? I forget.
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. Oh, there. Now I see
That's
you.
April.
I made it.
We're all here now. SWAT team is here. We're ready to go.
Wait, can you remind me what's the A?
Alliance. Sustainable Women's Alliance of Trumbull.
Alliance. Okay, I couldn't remember what it was.
I had to come up with something. Made
I know.
sense.
It was very creative. It's like the SWAT team.
Yeah.
So you heard April got a photo op with Connecticut Post for the
Wow.
trip, which was great.
Good.
Oh, that's awesome. That's totally awesome.
So I just sent to Rob. I said, are you joining or hiding? We'll see.
We have only Mary Ellen and Rob are not here yet. Is that right?
Yeah.
Before we start, is Shelby still on the committee? Because Bill and I were corresponding earlier today about our website and trying to revamp to have some of our programs be a little more available through the town website. And he was reminding us that he needs all of the passwords that Shelby created. Is he no longer part of our group, or is he an advisor role? I'm just kind of curious what's going on there.
I think he was, when he was so busy, he took himself off, but he was still a member. He was copied on everything. And then it's funny, somebody from that commission I was in touch with on something, and they had said that they heard he pretty much said he was off of our commission at their meeting. So
Yeah, he is, but I mean, technically somebody from that commission is supposed to be on, so
yeah, so
it's gotta
that's
be
what,
him unless we get somebody else.
yeah, and one has just resigned that I would have suggested. So
Which
I'm not
commission is
sure.
that?
Economic development.
Well, he's
So-
available via text, Mari. I have his cell phone, and I know he's answered texts before.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I have
answered
a
our
cell phone
emails.
too.
Yeah, I would just if you can let him know, just because, Bill needs that. And I think, did you already get to Bill the Instagram and Twitter? Do you need things for those? I don't know those things. Are there passwords or anything for those?
I have,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're having some trouble with our Gmail, the general sustainable Trumbull Gmail. Some of us have lost access. More of us could have access, and it's very much so password protected at this moment.
Is that because somebody maybe changed the password, I suppose?
No, only one person has the passcode.
Okay.
That's Shelby. And he's allowed us to be delegates only, not, we're not privy to the password. But the town needs it at this point, so we need to get it from him.
Yeah, I
So
wonder, what does Bill think about that? I know Bill,
He
it's
needs
just-
it. That's how I started
Yeah.
the conversation. We were in touch about the website today. So
Yeah, I just need to have control over it. Not that
Yeah.
I'm gonna do anything with it, but it's as a overall structure.
yeah, I would agree.
get you all the other stuff though, Bill. That's
I
fine.
have the
Yeah.
Twitter password because I set up the Twitter account, so I'll forward that today.
So are you able to text Shelby then? And just let him know if he could just get that, I guess, to whoever needs it, and Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that.
Ooh, sorry. Stop. Solar panels, snow keeps falling off in huge chunks. Stop.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, we ready to get going?
Sure are. Shall we welcome any guests? I guess there are no guests. Were we gonna have a guest, by the way? Somebody was gonna try to get a guest.
I was hoping someone was going to join us, somebody's husband who's interested in this topic, but apparently he's not here.
Okay,
That's right. Yeah.
welcome no one. Would anyone like to move to approve or amend the minutes from January 11
I approve.
meeting? Who was that? Who said that?
Pam. I
Pam.
approve.
Pam
I'll
approved. Pam motion. Who would like to second?
April?
April seconds. Good. Thank you. Moving on then. All right. What are we looking at here? The agenda says review task for silver certification. Okay, that's a good thing. So has everybody gone to the Google Drive and indicated what they're working on with regard to the Sustainable CT action list? It would be the 2021 Action Overview Worksheet, I believe is what it's called.
I have I still can't access anything. I'm a read only.
All right,
I
let me
added
know.
yours, Mary, but sorry, Kevin.
I was just gonna say, if Mary, just send us whoever.
Yeah,
Send it
so
to
I'll
whoever,
just forward,
and we'll
I'll
put it
just
up.
forward which things, some of the things I said, I'm hoping Rob will pop on, because there's a couple things that I had sent to him. And the Kevin Bova is our purchasing person. And
Right.
so, you know, I said the Board of Ed, they do have a policy. We don't have a green policy that I was able to locate. And so basically, other towns that have them, it's pretty simple, straightforward. It's just, you're changing your policy. I don't know if that's up to him, if it's, if he is the sole person and does it, or if it has to go through, Maria at all either. I'm not sure if he, how that whole system works, but so that's up there, and that's a kind of an easy one to do. I took I went to a webinar, so we'll have 5 points on that. I'll send you the information, but so waiting on that. There's a couple other things for bicycle, for black lights, dark skies, black lights, dark skies. A lot of these things that I really need to bounce off of Rob to see what we've done if I'm not able to, like, I've been gathering as much as I can, but I'm sure I'm missing things or. Am I saying that 5 times?
I don't know, it's all
It's
feedback
echoing.
now.
Missing
Um,
things. Okay, so, but so for really what I've done then is just the open space, and Marilyn's not on yet, is she? I want to see if there's something, and again, I need from Rob. There was a land trust, Hallaby was on that, the former first selectman, and the land trust had some of the properties that were in the NRI. And that's what I didn't realize, like there was nothing, I couldn't find any information on the open space for that. And that's because they came from that land trust. So I just need from Rob, is there anything like deeded? And I couldn't find any information on that. So pretty much hopefully that will be done, and they'll take that this time. And there's a couple little things that I think we could work in with Earth Day and some of these parks. And so hopefully that'll be one of our areas, and then it'll get us points for, for helping those areas, because that's one of the things there too.
All right, so you want to send that list to me or somebody to?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's a lot of it really is still up in the air. I haven't started because I'm hoping to talk to Rob first about what we do have and what's already in place.
Just so you know, I was starting to say that, Mary, you put all those itemized actions in an email, and I entered all of those onto the 2021 worksheet that we're talking about.
They're all done. You've already done it, Mary.
I've entered yours, Mary, but they're not all definite points. It's, it's a spectrum of will we get any of those. I think we should backtrack though, because we can all keep talking about each of our actions and how many points we can get, but can we make sure we're clear? Are we working towards silver for August? And do we want to, more clearly identify how many points we need and how we're going to get those points? Because
I think we should try to get them as soon as we can get them in. Like last time, we didn't make it for the spring one, and we had a chance to go back and review. So I think whatever we have, the more that we have done, the quicker. Then we'll know where we stand. Because I said, like last time, I thought open space, it's clear, it's done. It was only 5 or 10 points, but it seemed like such an easy freebie, and they didn't take it because we didn't have any documentation around it. So I feel like as people get things done and just load them up there, and then August will be our safe zone.
Yeah, I've
Well,
got
the
kind of might be a dumb question. If let's say we turn things in for silver, but we don't have enough points for this year, do they roll over to the following year?
Depends on the look back.
Okay,
It's like the bronze one. If we hadn't made bronze, we could still go for it this year.
okay,
And it is true, if the, like the plan of conservation development, well, as you know, it needs to be done like every 10 years or whatever it is. If we were looking at something that was done, 11 years ago and doing that, and it's like, it can only be in that 10-year gap. So, that'd be more recent, of course, for 1
Yeah.
year, but everything should roll, I think. The hard one is the one that doesn't, that's why I'd love to get it now. Which one was it? It's
Homelessness.
down until 2022. For which one?
Homelessness.
Oh, you
Homelessness,
talking
yes.
about
And that's-
homelessness?
Yeah, and that one, I mean, that would be a huge, obviously, we'd have to work with the, surrounding town, and it would be more of one of the regional efforts, but I think that's a tough one. So it'd be nice to just kind of get this. I mean, I think we can certainly do it. There's some, some of these have a lot of points associated with them.
Yeah, and they're not all, I mean, you don't have to do everything under item 12 too, right? You can do just some of the actions.
You have to have an action from each, you have to have an action from each area?
Yeah, so we already got all the other areas.
And that one doesn't
Everyone-
have to be done till 2022.
And,
so
and
that's
that-
what I
right,
think.
and that one doesn't have
Yeah.
to be done this year. So we can do whatever we want for this year. If we want to do it this year, we can just do any action. It just has to be 2 more equity toolkits.
So I
So that's
guess
something else.
on that, Mari, what were you thinking for idling? Did you want, because I know I said you've got so much already on your plate. Do you want me to?
I don't think I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, do you want me to just skip that as an equity one and just do it regularly?
Well, I don't know who would be the equity for that anyway. The students maybe, but they're working, the students is not a problem. I'm meeting with them again this week, and they're working on some outreach for restaurants. We're working on improving the recycling drives. April has some things probably to report. I think the students' equity toolkit will be fine. It's identifying a second equity group that we're addressing.
Yeah, so for that, I prepared a questionnaire, a survey for low-income residents, and I
okay.
sent it to the food pantry, the woman at the food pantry, Karen Seferi, whatever it is. And then I sent it also to the woman who runs the Head Start program at TechEc. So I just have to follow up with them and make sure that they got it. I've talked to Karen already earlier, and the other woman I haven't talked to yet, but hopefully we'll get some feedback from some people there. And then we'll be able to, basically what we're asking them is, here's a list of things that you might be interested in. What are you interested in? And then they decide what they want to do, and then we help them. And
So
it's,
if
you know,
Karen does
again,
it, if it goes through like Jen and Karen, so it's going through social services for whatever is chosen, can it be Jen, and then the person from Head Start, can it be they're the ones that are implementing, or does it have to be the senior or low income or whatever it is, like the low income people would be the ones?
yeah,
doing
it's supposed to be the
something?
people. It's supposed to be the
Yeah.
people, right?
So not-
Like the
not just
students,
the
right?
service.
Not a teacher, but
Yeah.
students. And so they're supposed to be involved from the get-go.
So Kevin, going off that, were you able to find out if the PTA or the PTSA would be a group that we could use for the equity toolkit?
You could, but again, it's got to be that the students themselves choose the action. That was the big thing when we did last for bronze.
No, well,
Right.
I'm talking about, it would be parents.
Oh,
Can
parents.
parents be an equity tool line?
Oh,
Can
could they
use
be?
that?
I don't know. They weren't.
It's not listed
wasn't-
on it. It's
yeah, it
really
wasn't
specific,
listed.
April. Yeah. You could
Yeah,
ask.
there's like a dozen different groups, but parents wasn't one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's my, building on that, April. I mean, Kevin, what action are you hoping to kind of, I don't want to say steer, but hoping to tie into the low income population? Like, is there a
Right.
sustainable action? Because that's really what has to happen next, right?
Yeah, so I prepared a list of equity ideas. So the survey, I'll send this to everybody so you all have it. But basically it was, I'll read real quick as soon as it pops open here. One is sustainable workforce development, establish a sustainable job training partnership, or create network opportunities for local job seekers operating sustainable businesses. That was one. And I just kind of went through the whole list and thought, is this something that low-income people might be interested in? Educate about available programs that encourage energy efficiency measures and/or solar energy. Implement a food scraps recovery program or food waste prevention campaign. Form a local regional food policy council. Conduct a community food assessment. Create a community food action plan, or develop and promote inclusive spaces that provide opportunities for residents to engage in local farming and gardening. And then I had a few from transportation about connected transportation networks, alternative routes, bicycle and pedestrian audit, community mobility needs assessment. So that was under transportation. And then I had one under housing, participate on a committee to improve affordable housing. And then on homelessness, I added one in there too. I said, hold community forums to reduce homelessness. So I'll send this out to everybody so you can take a look at it and see what you think. If you think we should add something, then, let me know.
One thing off of that, I was just thinking, when you said the food scraps, since we're trying to, get that going here, is there a way to, and if this doesn't work, if low income works, perfect, but if not, what about even targeting the seniors? And they can start like the food scrap, like at the senior center? Because with somebody picking up
that would be fine. I mean, we don't put all our eggs in one basket here. If we want to, try to target seniors too, and see if we get them involved in something in case we don't get, any feedback from any of the other low income people if they just don't respond to the survey.
Seniors are 55 and over in Trumbull. So
yeah, so that's like half the population. That's us. That's me anyway.
That's what I'm saying. That's what makes it really easy, because it's not like you have to put. I mean, I hate asking people to do anything. I always feel guilty when I put any work on anybody, and so to have, I feel to have them. They've got to come up with a campaign and do it. So when you change it to 55, it's like, I don't know. It just seems like a lot easier than having some 70 or 80-year-old start a food, their own type thing going. So it might be easier. That's all I'm saying, if we want to get one in, because it reinforces what we're doing on the town side.
Yeah, I mean, we could do 3 equity toolkits if we get all 3 of them. But yeah, that would be fine to reach out to them too, in case if one of them fails for whatever reason, then we have a backup too. So
Yeah, I'm just trying to think easy.
Seems good to me.
Just one more idea. It might be a little far-fetched, and I'm not sure how much it would include the population, but I had thought, since Pam's pushing so much for the transfer station to add composting collection, that we could target renters, which is actually such a small population in town, but somebody that really doesn't have access to composting. So we could put a survey out to the large apartment communities in town and ask if this was something of interest to them. And if so, then they could maybe have representation with adding the compost collection at the transfer station, which we're already intending to do as an action, and say that it really caters towards renters who can't compost on site. So that could be something. We could reach out to the property management of the couple of apartments, and that would be a quick, easy target.
What would the renters do? How would they be involved in the program?
I don't know. I didn't really realize that they really had to be so involved. I thought it was more of a help to make them more included in sustainable practices. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, because I'm reaching out to people who I don't even know, asking for, what do you want to do? Well,
Right. Well, my concern is then they have to come up with a whole campaign. That, to me, by August, that's a stretch right now. What were you going to say, Pam? You're muted. You're muted.
I'm interpreting it a little differently, that we have a campaign towards different groups. That's in the actions.
Yeah.
And so if we educate different targeted things, schools, renters, seniors, that's the first bullet in the actions of food scrap program. So I'm thinking that we can use all those groups as our campaign targets, that they give examples of campaigns. So I think that any one of those could be that. And more to come as we work our way down the agenda, but we have some action on that transfer station meeting that we asked for. So maybe we'll know about it in time for Earth Day.
I think
One
the
last,
renters, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm looking at I believe I'm looking at the equity toolkit correctly now, finally. And one of the categories is families.
There you
So,
go. Family.
families tie into the PTSA, and the only reason I bring that up is because they were tying into, when I suggested all the sustainability things, they thought it would be great if we connected the schools in there, and then also community-wise, kind of like recycling, kind of sustainable art, kind of something to happen during Earth Week, where we could have, you know, things out at, I don't know, a park or whatever, where the students can make stuff, maybe through their art teachers or through their music teachers, that could kind of be judged based on, I don't know, sustainability and like recycling kind of thing. So, but if we could tie families into there, then we could say it came from them. Would that work? I have never done the
Yeah.
toolkit before.
Yeah, you just have to show that you reached out to the families, however you do it, whatever families respond, and that this is what they want to do, right? That's that's kind of what they're shooting for. They want to see that right from the get-go, you brought them in and this is their thing. So,
Sounds good.
no matter how you might have to massage a little bit.
Okay.
Rob's coming on.
Bro.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just in
Hey.
the office right now. Sorry. No can.
We'll believe you.
Hey, Rob.
You're muted, Rob.
Hey guys.
There you go. You're back
Hello.
again. Quick, before we lose you, Rob, somebody had a question.
Sure.
At least one.
Wait, actually, one question, I can't remember if it was Mari or April, sent out the, Mari, and now I lost it, the equity training. Is that something, when I signed up for it and then I realized it's like a full day. So I don't know, Rob, if that's something.
3
'cause it
days.
would- Yeah, and it would have to be, but I mean, it's not like it's an hour during the day. It's like it was like a chunk. So I don't know if that's something that it just looks like that's really not going to be doable and we shouldn't go that route. I don't want to sit in the meetings and then find out that you didn't do it. And I'm like, oh my God, I had to sit through those.
Let me take a look at that. Do you know when it is, the 3-day classes?
There's like a spring schedule and a summer schedule, maybe.
Okay.
Like 3 different afternoons. I think like 1 to 5, 3 days, right, Mary?
Yeah, I signed up for it like in the, right off. And then all of a sudden I realized, that you'd have to be doing that as well. And that's a lot of time. Now it gives us 10 points. I mean, which is a nice, easy way to get 10 points, but
Okay.
easy for me because I'm not sitting in a job where I'm supposed to be doing things. So I figure if we should, if
If I have enough time to, if it's in the springtime or something and I have enough time, I could put time aside. It just depends on what days it is.
Yeah, I'll find out. I'll go back and look up when that was.
Okay.
And one of us would need to attend also, right?
I think 3 of us, right? Together?
I think it's a municipal person, a
Right.
employee, which would be Rob, an elected official, and a community member.
Right. So Mary, Rob, and somebody else.
Yeah,
You're not jumping on it, Kevin?
one resident, yeah.
I don't know. I'm never sure what my schedule is. It's a little tricky.
Sounds fun, Kevin. Come on.
I know.
No, I agree. What day-
So
what day
we'll
is it?
see, yeah,
We'll
we'll see if
vote.
we should know if we really need those points by then anyway. I mean, it's probably a good thing to do, but it's not
If-
something I really have any great interest in myself. I hate to say it, but if it works for everybody, it certainly will do it,
Yeah,
no
but it's just
problem.
there just to sit and take 3 classes or whatever. The easiest one we'll probably have to do.
I sat through a purchasing one, just so you know. So actually, Rob, while we have you, can I just ask you quickly, you
Sure.
saw I sent to you open space, which I meant to send to you this morning. You may not have seen the email yet. So I
Okay.
just had some questions, if you could take a look at that. I've been very unsuccessful at sending to the land acquisition group and getting any response from anything. So I thought these might be things you might know, or they might reply to an email from you.
Okay.
And then do you happen to have, can you see this from my screen? Land acquisition for the last 30 million? Do you have that? I got it from Dan Shopik, but I didn't know if it was generated, if you happen to have a copy.
No, I didn't get that.
Okay, I'll go back and ask Dan. You know, it just shows the amounts that were spent, which we need, but of course minor, you know, checked off as I was going through them, and I hadn't made another copy. Purchasing, did you have any luck talking to Kevin Bova at all about green purchasing policy?
Yeah, I spoke to him about it. He was saying that we already do a lot of that stuff.
So
But
it doesn't show in our purchasing policy that we do. That's the problem. So
yeah,
he may be just doing it independently and it's not in there.
okay, so he has to have something in the contracts, I guess, that state that.
And I can resend to you again. We can talk at another time. I don't want to, you know, go through the whole thing, but I can send you separately. But I said it's really so that it's just to show that we are considering green when we're looking at things. It doesn't have to be a financial, you know, dig that we always have to go with something green, but to go with, you know, the best you can. And there are sites that list, and same like Home Depot. It might be if somebody's going to be Home Depot, Staples. And if people order their own supplies, then it would bring them to a more sustainable area. You know, like the Green Planet type things. And so those type things, I'll resend to you and I'll just highlight a couple things. And, you know, as I said, I don't know if he's willing to do it or not, but I figure that's,
Yeah,
you know, that had a couple things.
I'll ask him again. He's
Okay.
he's a tough cookie, so I think if I bug him a couple times, he'll break.
I'm always nice to his mom, tell him that. When I used to see her senior stuff. And then Dark Skies, do we ever do that through, it's in our P and Z.
Yep, in our regulations, dark sky compliance.
Yeah, so it's in the regs, but does that definitely, because I know there was a big deal with Home Depot having their lights on, and I'm up that way. And that's what people, I could never see them, but people that are a little further from me, they were saying, you know, they're constantly on. And then Amazon, the same problem when they came. So I don't know.
Those are part of their approval process. Their lighting, they have to show that they're dark sky compliant and they meet a full cutoff.
So it's in the
part of
regs, and
regulation.
it's in the regs, and it is discussed.
It's enforced, definitely enforced, because we've been having talks with the 48 Monroe Turnpike that Amazon is using about their light issues there too. So it's
Yeah,
definitely-
that's the one I was thinking of. Yeah. And then with that, do we have IDA approved lighting?
LID,
IDA?
IDA.
I'll look it up. I'll send you the thing separately, but okay, so at least I know about Dark Skies. I'll look up that one. Okay.
Yeah,
And then I'll
that
do
may get
purchase.
into the realm of the building department.
Okay,
Oh, light, no, that's light emitting diode. Yeah, just send that to me and I'll take-
okay. And then I'm gonna ask later about bicycle things and stuff that we do, complete streets and everything. I know that's all RENA, so I may be asking you for a couple of things on that.
Okay,
Oh, FYI, I just looked up IDA lighting, and it's the fixture seal of approval program for dark sky friendly lighting, outdoor lighting.
okay, so
That
that's,
cleared it up. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Never
I'll
mind,
go
Nels.
back. I'll grab that section and I'll just send to you separately.
Let's see if they say any more about it here.
Okay. Okay, I'm done bothering Rob for now. I don't know. How do you want to do? I don't have the agenda. Do you want to see where we should land?
Yeah, I got a quick question. Mari, you said you updated the list of sustainable CT actions to put people's names, I guess, or initials on here. I must be looking at the wrong one because I don't see it.
I just added Mary's. I didn't add everybody's. I don't know what everybody else is working on.
Yeah, no, I don't see anybody's though. I'm just, that's all. Is it, what column did you put it in?
To the right of each of the actions on the spreadsheet.
Right, so it says action type and then it says points, right? And then there's,
Yeah, you're
there's
in it with me. Okay, so if you scroll to the right, I put Sustainable Trumbull member status, resources, and points. Now, these are points that would be possible points for that category. That doesn't mean we've gotten them. So then if you scroll to the bottom row, whatever, 300 and something, it shows that we have a possible 318. It shows we have a possible 300 points more. If you sum up everything everybody's mentioning working on, that doesn't mean we're going to get all 300 of those. So maybe we need to add a column for done, like points obtained, and then we could have that as a running total out of.
I just don't, the one I'm looking at, I don't see it. That's the problem.
Is this the one that says tree and branch and twig and leaf?
No.
No, this is the,
Okay.
is it, what is it, Mary?
It's called the 2021 Action Overview Worksheet.
Ah,
April and
that's right.
Pam, do you see the?
Got it.
You're not in
Yeah.
it, Kevin.
I'm
Just
not,
so you
I'm on a different file with the same name. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think there's an older one maybe.
Do you see me in it?
Yeah, that one's old. So that's where would I find that? I'll find it under
So
Sustainable
Mary,
Trumbull.
can you create a new email that you can use to access this so we don't have to enter all your stuff?
I have no idea. I mean, I've,
You can add a different email to it if your existing one doesn't work. Like Pam created a new Gmail just for sustainable stuff, maybe? Just to access stuff, right?
There it is. There.
yeah, I'm known for not knowing how to do any of this stuff. I'll ask my husband.
Yeah, Pam. Now, do you have more than one Gmail account?
Yes, I do, because my personal email was getting too crowded with sustainable stuff. And so I created PR and Trumbull
Okay.
Gmail that I was hoping I could use for sustainable, but I'm reading both. And unfortunately, I'm getting emails. It's hard to keep track of everybody's emails, so I get it. So I prefer to use the PR and Trumbull at gmail.com for sustainable stuff.
Did you find it, Kevin, or?
Got it. Yeah, it's under Sustainable CT certification.
Yeah, I
folder.
see you're in. Yeah, okay.
And now,
Yeah.
Mary, when you open up your Chrome browser, I'm sure you click on the top right, that round icon, and then you select your account. You have more than one Gmail. That's a Gmail that would be, set up on sharing. So whoever initiates the Sustainable Trumbull, drive would then, send you a link to that email. So you have to be logged in on that email. And when you click on there, and then once you're logged in, you click on those 9 squares, select drive, and then click shared with me. And then you should see Trumbull, Sustainable_Trumbull pop up. But
Yeah.
if you have more than one Gmail account, that
I have multiples by mistake. So
yeah, that's
whatever.
a
Don't worry
common-
about it. I'll see if my husband can figure it out because I'm just not good at these things. But when I do for the view only, when I do ask, I do request edit access and send it. I do that every time when I try to do it. Does anybody get anything?
Sorry, what? Did I get
I
anything?
think
What?
I've seen your requesting access.
I guess nobody's, so maybe it's Shelby is the one that would let me have access? Is that the problem?
No,
No,
No.
usually when the document is created, you allow anyone with the link to edit. It's just whoever created the document.
yeah, but whoever shared the Sustainable Trumbull, that folder on our drive, sends out an email that gives you the rights to edit and view it, where you can either read it or read it right. And we should all have read write. I know most.
Yeah, I
of
just
us do,
have
I
you.
think.
Well, don't worry about it now.
We need to move on, guys.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
do this
okay.
another time.
All right, so the next item on the agenda was more volunteers. We don't have any more volunteers yet, is that right?
No, but we could use some more.
Yes, we definitely could use more. That's fine.
Maybe with Earth Day, it'll generate some interest from people, the
Yeah.
activities.
April put out a post on Facebook to try to recruit people and no one responded.
Right.
We tried to put specific actions, maybe hoping that would get some interest. if people knew what they're signing up for instead of like, oh, I don't know if I can commit to something.
Yeah.
We'll
We
keep
get
trying.
interest, we get interest from certain people of other certain groups like Trumbull Community Women. There's people interested, right, Pam? And then there's, other people, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
I see Mel
Um,
is here driving.
Yes, I'm driving.
Hey, there she
I'm
is.
almost home.
A nice view through your sunroof.
Yeah,
Oh, is it? Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
Awesome.
the blue sky.
Trumbull
Your
Sky.
timing's perfect, Mary Ellen, because we are now
good.
over to the Nature Outdoors branch to talk about pollinator pathways. So, briefly, I guess, how are we doing? Either Pam or Mary Ellen want to?
Well, let me start, if you
Yes.
want, and then since Mel's
Yeah.
driving, and then she can add to whatever. So a couple of things on pollinator pathway. One is I helped Mel put together a proposal with the Xerxes Society to get a grant, not grant, but a parcel of plants to put in on a plot of land here in Trumbull. Tasha was doing it as well, Tasha Golf Course, I think, Tasha Knowles. And Mary Ellen spoke to Dimitri, and he wants to put it at Twin Brooks Park by the waterfall, so
Yes,
that's in
Tasha Knowles, yeah.
play. And then we had interest from the Trumbull Community Women from your TNAC annual meeting earlier in the month to talk about this and Tidy Up Trumbull. So we had a call with 2 different parties on those different subjects. And there's interest in doing something together for Pollinator Pathway with the Trumbull Community Women.
Right.
Whatever that is, we don't know, but there was certainly no lack of ideas. It sounds like we'd be driving the bus and they'd be passengers on the bus. But they're happy to help. It sounds like they were very interested, right, Mel?
Yeah. Yes.
What about the garden
Yeah, and-
clubs? Have they reached out?
No, not yet. I think,
Not recent. No.
And so far, there's 3 elementary schools and I think 1 middle school that would be game for a pollinator pathway as well. So I did fill out a grant for them too. I also talked to the school teacher at Hillcrest who uses the greenhouse there as a way if we need to maybe just buy some seeds and start some plants from seeds that we could then give out to the schools that are going to be planting pathways.
right. And we talked, there was a couple of us at Town Hall on Saturday for April's Trex Bin photo moment with the Connecticut Post. And we chatted a little bit after. There's also the Ag Center across the street from me at Hillcrest.
Yes.
Where we could do, like, they have so much room there for a pollinator garden and it's very visible. So that's another thing. Maybe I think April said she knew someone at the Ag Center.
Yeah, I'll be contacting them.
Great.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's such a great resource. I always forget about it. And, it is such a really good resource for propagation. And now that you're talking about starting seeds, I got a message last night from a group, a Yukon Master Gardeners, have a whole bunch of seeds. Like, I don't know, they didn't describe like what kind of seeds. There's a mix of different seeds that they're overloaded with and they're willing to give away.
Oh, fun.
So,
Nice.
yeah, so that,
Oops.
Just
Mel's-
lost
Now you just froze up.
I
It's
know
cold
that,
out there.
I know that Earth Day, oh, sorry, Mel, you froze.
I froze.
Yeah,
Oh,
you froze it.
That'd be good for,
And you froze again.
At least she's smiling.
Yeah.
Yes, you
You know,
froze
oh,
in mid-smile.
one comment on seeds.
propagation in seeds. Yeah, so we can give them seeds and they can propagate stuff for us that we can plant later on. But I have to find out what this stuff is first. I don't know if it's vegetables or if it's
And one thought for Earth Day, which we'll talk about later, but if we get, I mean, this may not be the year to do that, but a normal year, a Conservation Commission could, pass out seeds, for example, and we could stress, pollinator pathways. In Southern, we passed out seedlings one time, at a touch a truck And so, that went pretty, pretty well. Now, I don't know if people planted the trees, but, that planting seeds for a pollinator pathway and the concept that you can have a pot on your deck, that's a pollinator pathway. It doesn't have to be a huge garden. The bigger the better, but, for the public, I think the key is that, plant even a small number of plants, and that can still be very useful, for ecology.
Well, I know Earth Day is later in the agenda, but it might be a
Yeah.
good moment just to mention that since we were on the phone with the Trumbull community women around Tidy Up Trumbull, one of the things that I kind of was thinking about, and I know Richard, you're already working on Earth Day, but I was thinking that we could do an Earth Week. And we
Yeah.
could have, leading up to the Saturday. Now, the Earth Day itself is the 22nd, is Thursday. And the theme is Restore Our Earth, which for what we could work around that. But I was thinking in the days leading up to the Saturday when Trumbull Community Women does their annual cleanup, we could do events, either Zoom events or online social media events, or just, learn about this website events. Every day have a different theme.
Yeah.
And I was thinking pollinator pathway could be a day, composting at home could be a day, learn how to, plant vegetables. I mean, we could come up with them together, but do like 6 days leading up to the Saturday of things that we could get people involved in via social or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought we were going with a plan a day. Going all out, we're getting all our points.
I like that, Pam. I'm in.
So we'll just come up with, we'll work together, maybe via email to come up with what each day would be. And Mel, I think you said you'd be up for possibly doing another pollinator pathway Zoom. We could talk.
Yeah,
We could
absolutely.
talk to whoever, was it Mary Hogue? Who was the person that did the composting thing in Fairfield?
Oh, yeah, Mary Hogue. Oh, yeah, she'd do compost anytime. That would be a great idea.
We can get
Yeah,
into
so
the
every
park.
day a different Zoom.
If we can get into the parks, I think one day if we have, based on the NRI, as I said, there's certain parks, like one that's saying this would be great for trails, but you can't get in because there's invasive species blocking the entrance. Other ones, there is litter here. We saw that picture of the, the stove. So if there's a couple areas like that, we might even be able to link up and kind of make it is along with the Tidy Up Trumbull, but to have specific of some of those spots, we're able to knock off one of the areas to say, this is what we need to get those points. So if we can kind of add that aspect to it too. So it's not just you're out in the streets, you're also in these other areas that we have as open space.
Right, and the Pequannock River Valley Trail has a very robust membership on Facebook. And I know that a couple of years ago, someone posted, we need some help getting these tires and this stove off the trail. I think it was in the Serengeti on the trail, the Pequannock Trail there. And a lot of people joined in to help. So I think that, we could certainly get the local groups involved.
Mm-hmm.
Great, I didn't know there was a Facebook for that.
No, me
That'd be
neither.
great to have, our Earth Day week, a link on sites like that. Help publicize that we're doing something, in addition to what they might be doing.
Right, and the Trumbull community women are very interested in working with us on the Tidy Up front as well. So more to come on that as we go farther down the agenda.
So next is invasives. So Pam, you're still up on that, right?
Yeah, the only thing that, and I'm going to out myself here. Somehow, when I gave the documentation to Kevin to submit for the invasives, I left off the last page, which was 5 points.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, it was.
So
the
look, we got
document was
another
done.
5 points. Now
Huh?
we're good. We just got an easy 5 points. You don't have to
We
do
got an easy
anything.
5 points. It's done. It's the website links educating the public about our stuff, and somehow it didn't get submitted with that. So that's 5 points right off the bat. But I
And the
think
look back's okay?
an ongoing effort on invasives on the trails. That could be during our Earth Day week. We could talk about invasives again. We did a wonderful invasive Zoom last year
Mhm.
with Alice Ely.
Yeah.
We could do it again. I mean, I could preach that gospel all day long. So
There's another, do you know Charlotte Pyle?
I know the
So
name.
she's in the Connecticut invasive working group,
Yes.
SIPWIG. So she's like a PhD. She's very involved. So she said she would be happy to do a Zoom on invasives, especially like this time of year in April, and just get people to look for them as they come up and what to do with them. So she said she'd be happy to do a Zoom, and I'm wondering if, you know, I'm setting up a lot of Zooms and lectures for Aspetuck, but I'm wondering if we could share, you know, somehow Trumbull Sustainability could get involved in, or I could share the Zoom announcements with you, and you can post them to Trumbull so we can get more people, because we're going to have Doug Tallamy at the end of March. He's got a new book on oak trees, which I didn't even know he was writing. That is released March 31st, and he's going to do a Zoom lecture for us at Aspetuck on the 28th. It's a Sunday, but I think that, you know, these are things that anybody can, you know, we have a webinar size Zoom, so we can have a lot of people on it. So I'm wondering if these things that are developed, I mean, they're regional, they're local, if, you know, we can spit them out through Sustainable Trumbull, if we would get points for them.
I think we get points for working with other groups, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as we do something.
Yeah,
Why reinvent the wheel? If it's out
Yeah.
there, just, yeah.
there's another one February that I'm doing with end of February 25th, Edwina Von Gall, who's from the Perfect Earth Project, which is about toxin-free landscapes. She's based out of the Hamptons, and she's very good. She's really well known. So that would be a great one to just to get people to figure out how to make their properties and their lawns toxin-free. She's a
That'd be
landscape
great.
designer.
Hmm.
So I can send you guys the links that I do and just send them out to our people in
Great.
Trumbull.
I
Yeah.
have them. I have them because I'm on the Aspetuck mailing list, so I'm happy to. Put
Yeah.
them.
Okay, good.
So
Yeah, so
not to jump the gun, but that kind of ties into something that a few of us were talking about on Saturday, is that we kind of need to come up with, and we could get points for this, is a communication plan. So I dropped a calendar in our sustainability folder. I think it called it communication plan. But on that calendar, we could put out when or what we're going to post on what day. So we're not putting multiple posts on the same day where things are getting flushed out. So if we know that Mary Ellen's going to be telling us about these certain events, we'll make sure we hold those days for those events to go out. And then we'll post other things different days. So we're not flooding the Facebook page at least.
I mean, do you guys have an idea what time of the day or times a day? I mean, obviously we have to work around the town calendar.
No, we
But what
don't.
are your thoughts of Earth Week?
No, we don't.
We don't have to
Oh,
work
for
around the
Earth
town calendar.
But we wouldn't want any major conflicts.
With
If
what?
it's a Zoom presentation,
It's not the town's Zoom though.
but
yeah.
if we have another Zoom, going on, that might draw an audience away from our potential Earth Day. I mean, do you guys think about having a Zoom, for the public during Earth Week?
I don't
think
think
April was talking about communication just on an ongoing basis for our social media, because there's a
Okay.
bunch of us that have access to our social media that we want to make sure, if Mary Ellen's going to post about a event coming up on Tuesday, that myself or April doesn't put something about recycling paper cups
Right.
just because we randomly saw it that day in
Yeah.
particular. Well, we would hold it for another day.
Yeah, there's a number of us that have access to the social media for
Yeah,
like
we just wanna
especially
kinda have a better
Facebook
plan.
posting, and we were stepping on each other's toes a little bit with what we were putting up. So
Hmm.
Yeah, so I see in that communication plan folder, you have the calendar, April. It says request access. I'm not
Oh.
gonna request access unless you want me to, but,
I'll
Who's
give,
gonna-
I thought, I'll give it
gatekeeper
to
of that?
everybody right now.
okay.
Along that line, though, I think I sent to some of you, I spoke with Bill and I reached out to Patty Zablocki incorrectly today about improving our town webpage in terms of communication. I think that is part of the criteria for the action credit, April, right? That when you click on the sustainable page, it lists all different other town organizations, town council, TNAC. I mean, that's great because everybody's affiliated with those, but it doesn't give us a place to talk about all these wonderful programs we have going on. I mean, April's put in so much time on the Trex recycling program that's ongoing. We have a monthly recycling drive. We have ongoing town cleanups that Pam's done so much with too. And we just put up a post on Facebook and it gets pushed down and nobody's following. And there's a lot of confusion, I think, within the community of what we even have going on. So if I understood correctly with Bill today, we can add a list on the left side in place of those. Not that we have to take away the links to the other town groups that we're affiliated with, but we could put those elsewhere, I hope. Right?
So I'll jump in.
Thanks,
Since
Bill.
I guess I can explain this. So you guys are sectioned in with all of the other town board and commissions under the whatever S through Z or whatever section that you fall under. And that's on the left side menu. So what we can do is we can remove that left side menu and make that whole page kind of like your sub page on the website. Excuse me. So we can add like different links for events or resources or whatever you want on the left-hand side. That way, when people hit the Sustainable Team's website, everything's there. It doesn't all have to feed onto one page. It can have sub pages. And then another thing that we can do is do a shortcut. So trumbull-ct.gov/sustainable Trumbull or whatever you want that hits that page directly. That way, when you publish something, you can use that name instead of the /888 or whatever number it is right now.
Can I to that subject, can I share my screen for a second?
Sure. I was gonna do that.
Let's see, where's it here? So can you all see that?
Yes.
So I went on a couple of different towns today, their website. So this is Fairfield's website here, and they've got ST, whatever that is, which is what Bill was just talking about. But their particular page is designed a little bit. So it's got a logo, it's got links to documents and the plan. So it's all in one place and it's nice. And then this is Darienne's, not as attractive, but certainly, it's got actions and again, it's its own page. And then this was Greenwich's, which is a little bit more designed with a logo and agenda and minutes and stuff like that. So I think if we could do something along the lines of what Greenwich or Fairfield is doing, that would be nice.
I could do that and better.
All right.
So let me just go on the website right now and just quickly show you what I was talking about. So this is the landing page here, and so you're in here under T if it wants to play nice. Just kidding. You're here under S. So you're here under sustainable. And this is your website here. So right now we've got basic information, your social links here, and resources could be its own page. Links could be its own page probably too. But right now this menu here is it actually is the Q through T menu. For boards and commissions. So what we could do is we can remove this and do something more like this. This is the new Trumbull Cadets website, where right now they only have one page, but you could have your events here, your resources here, and that way when you're on Sustainable Trumbull with your information, you can click through these links and pop up all that information. And we can add, if you provide some graphics, we can make this more pretty and do those kind of things as well. And this can be changed here to just /sustainable or whatever, Sustainable Trumbull, whatever you guys want that to be.
Great.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Now, I found it quickly by just typing in Sustainable Trumbull and it popped up. But if you're in the town's website, it'd be hard to find it. But I like the idea, Bill, of having the left side. Like in Fairfield, they had the right side.
Right. Yeah, our menu's on the left.
Yeah, but I think the left side is, it's the same concept. And I think that would, could potentially work out well. I always like having, fewer choices that take you, to more, focal point. You don't have to see all the details on each page. Makes it hard to find things.
Right. This is so the way we kind of throw these into buckets. Anything here is under the government, and obviously you're here because you're a board and commission. But the community link is a really great place for people to go to find out things about the community. The culture and tourism page. This is new. I think I was working with. I don't remember who I was working with for that, but the
Mary,
community
probably.
page. It might have been. The sustainable Trumbull link is here. So this is to hopefully draw people to the sustainable Trumbull page. This page here for community is kind of what I think of when residents want to go to find information that would pertain to them quickly. So
Yeah.
this is the government stuff. This is their public safety, obviously. And so that's a quick link too, is just to go there.
Yeah, and obviously we can be linked on multiple areas, because people look at things differently. So I like the idea of under community, Bill, how you had sustainable Trumbull appear right away.
Yeah, that looks like a great thing, Bill. If you can make those changes, that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Well, I think we should probably put together a list of the things we feel are important to list as the bullets on the side, and then provide PDFs for each, or a link to something, or, right? And we can send that over collectively. Maybe
Yeah,
we can-
definitely a documents library.
Yeah, we've changed since that was originally started. That's when, we were kind of just getting going on starting up projects. So it definitely, like, especially the band collections and the various tidies, the Swell app, all of that. I mean, those are going to be, definitely
I
different.
just
than
feel
what
like
we
we've
have.
put in so much effort for all these programs, and we need to
Yeah.
increase some following. If people
Right.
can find us better through the
Yeah.
town page, it would be great.
Bill, are we gonna have to ask you whenever we want to, add things to our resources link, or whatever the various links that there are in there? Are we gonna be? Hey,
Yeah,
Bill,
right
hey, Bill,
now.
hey Bill, like every day?
Right now, yes, but we can also provide access to somebody on your team to modify just that page or that group of pages. So we
Okay.
can create an account for you to do that.
And maybe we would
That would be
just
good.
have the ability to add to existing, links, existing pages, so we don't start making them up, duplicate the various topics. Well, one idea would be to take those 3 towns you just showed and just, write down those groups as a start. And then, we can email it and make comments back among this team, and then come up with a list for a bill, which could be work in progress, but it'd probably be a really good start.
Yeah, we'll get something good together, I'm
Figure
sure.
something out.
And just a side note for the future, once we have those things on web pages, then if we go with QR codes, those are really easy to generate on like a stick-on label you could stick anywhere. Because a QR code just simply needs a web page to bring you to some content.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so we're not really that far down our agenda, so I guess we gotta move.
Yes.
Anything else on the, and I don't remember anything really on the NRI, on the Natural Resource Inventory happening.
I
Unless,
have-
Mary Ellen?
Yeah, I have one comment if I could make. I spent some time on the phone with Dimitri going over this and the NRI. So he actually really kind of dove into it pretty deeply, and he thinks it's great, and it's so useful to him and to the town. And he had a very interesting recommendation, which I didn't quite think about, and I think he's right. When you go through the NRI, it's a natural resource inventory. So it's technically supposed to be an inventory or an observation of our open spaces and our parks. So, what the land looks like, the birds that are there, the resource itself. And then each park, there's a section that is recommendations. So it's like problems that Jim saw and then recommendations. And Dimitri's thought was that doesn't really belong in an inventory, and thinks that if possible, it would be more useful to the land use boards and to him if we could pull out the recommendations and make a different maybe management plan. And that kind of makes sense the more that I thought about it, because, if we're looking for something, I don't know, at a certain place, we have to kind of go into the whole inventory, which is like really huge, and then go through and find the recommendations. So it would be more like pulling out the action steps or the recommendations and the action plans, and creating a different document. So I haven't, shared it with you guys yet, that thought, and or the Conservation Commission, because we haven't met yet. So what do you think about that? Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
and if we did that, number two, would we get double the points?
We
If
could-
we
we-
if
Yeah, we could probably
created-
use them differently. The inventory, we got the points the last time, but that's what I was saying, like for Earth Day, based on his recommendations, if we start addressing some of these, we will get points because we need that for open space. But there's also, and I was going to ask you this, we don't have a master plan for parks and open space, correct? There's no, it's not like the plan of conservation development.
Right.
So we don't have anything like that, correct?
No, the last time there was a master plan for the parks, it was done like in the 1970s. I think I still have a copy of it. Mark Scenari gave it to me, and it's never been really followed. It's kind of shocking, some of the things that they wanted to do with like Great Oaks Park and all that. So, so that was the last time that there was a master plan. But Mary, that's exactly what this content would do if we could shift it off to a document that would be a plan. It wouldn't be a policy, but it would be a master plan. Yeah, for our
think-
open
yeah.
spaces and parks.
I think it's a great
That
idea.
NRI was fabulous. And I mean, as I said, going through that for the open space, but to just see how much was put into that, I mean, it's really is amazing. And it highlights other areas of town that you wouldn't normally know that are there.
Right.
Trying to connect some of these parks together, which they can be by trails. He was talking about one adding a snow ski. What do you do that when you snow walk? You
Oh.
Snowshoe.
that or
Yeah,
it's
snowshoe.
whatever you just do when you're just like on flat land and you're skiing.
Cross country.
Cross
Cross
country.
country.
Yeah, so there's one area, he was even saying you can add a cross-country trail for that. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things in there, and I think some of it can be done volunteer or through like conservation or us, but it does need a big tie-in with your Parks Department and Department of Public Works. So I
Yeah, we
think,
wanted to put a zip line from Long Hill Green to Trumbull Center.
oh, I forgot Rob was there. I'm like, who's talking?
It's the blades of grass. I've been trying to
Yes.
get my camera to work. I'm finally home.
It's the blades of grass.
Sorry,
It's
the
an
blades of
ant.
grass are talking.
So what did you
Okay.
say? You wanted a zip line?
I wanted a zip line from Long Hill Green to Trumbull Center. It's all downhill, you get there in 3
Oh, that'd be
minutes.
good.
Oh, that'd be great.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Samantha.
Rob, what do you think? What do you think about that? I mean, for planning and zoning, inland wetlands, to have a document like using all of these, like the observations and the recommendations from the natural resource inventory. So if you kind of go through it, you'll see how each property he does the same thing. So we would be like pulling out half the data that he did and putting it into a useful document to take action steps. Meanwhile,
Yes.
the inventory would remain the way it is for people to understand the town or who are going hiking, looking for areas of interest, a very positive thing.
Yeah, I
And
think that's definitely something that we could add to the POCD, because there's a couple studies I was going to add as a backup to the POCD. So once it gets in there, it's something that has a little more teeth in the game when it comes to approvals or denials. Does it go with the plan of conservation development or not? That's what usually the courts take a look at. If they're
Okay.
saying appeal or denial to uphold the commission's decision. So if there is a document like that we can include into a section in the POCD, I know we have a couple of years from now, but we're already talking about the update that's going to be coming up in probably 2 years or so. We could definitely talk about adding something to the POCD because I know my commission uses it a lot.
Can you add to it before the next rewrite? It's fun because there are a couple things that it says, integrate sustainability into your plan of conservation. Some things we have in there, and you can see some things we didn't do that were the good items that were pointed out. Obviously, you can't do them all. It's a guide. But can we add in between, or do we have to wait till the next rewrite?
Oh, we can add in between. Like I was saying there, I wanted to add, we did our studies for the industrial zones. Recently, those 2 studies, I wanted to add those to the POCD. The commission's already aware of it. If there's other areas too, I'd rather just do it all in one shot.
Okay, I think that'll be great because there's a couple areas that we can use for that then.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad that Dimitri, took the time to really look into it. And he said that even there's a lot of photographs, etc., in there that are useful for an action plan, but really have no place in an inventory, like tires and refrigerators and things that are in pictures. 10 years from now, those tires and refrigerators won't be there, hopefully. So, but they need to go into a place where they can be highlighted and addressed. And that's not where they shouldn't be in the inventory, which was pretty, I thought, astute of him. So,
yeah, and I don't think some of these things.
Some of those could be
go ahead.
volunteer projects, perhaps. Some of the simpler cleanup could be volunteer, cleanup programs.
Problem with
Yeah, you
volunteers.
get 500 pounds of stuff quick.
Yeah.
Like a tire or a stove, or there's a chassis in Twin Brooks. I mean, it's like to bring that to the dump, you have to pay.
Right.
To dump
Yeah,
it.
some
So,
of the big things will be town driven, but there's other things I said, like if there's certain parks for, when we do the tidy up, and it is true. It's like we went to beaches, we just did that roadway, and I was surprised at how much garbage was there. But for the Trumbull women, like we always get Route 25, Main Street, down by getting on 25 and 111. And it's amazing. I mean, the amount of crap that's thrown out, but some of these parks that he noted aren't areas where people normally go. So we might find a whole nother grouping. But I think if it didn't get pulled out, Mary Ellen, a lot of these things, I was worried this was going to be presented and then sit on the shelf and not be used. And I think this is a great way to ensure that, it does get used and
it gets used,
that's the
right?
best.
So I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just using this as an example. Here's the River Valley. These are the fields, so it's based on what's in the field surveys. So he talks about the conservation values. He's got very, all kinds of history in there and really good pictures. The ice house, the ruins, so the natural and man-made history, outcroppings. Now, here's an erosion picture that probably, this is the kind of thing that we'd pull out and put into something else.
Yeah.
The river's
George-
surrounded by steep, and then he goes into, the Valley Park, ecological communities, hemlock groves. So there's a lot of stuff here that are ecologically focused that should be in here. But then I'm just looking, where's the
That's because you just picked a long one. That's why.
yeah, I picked a big one. Ephemeral flowers. I mean, this is all exactly what should be in the inventory. Physical features, of course. Yeah, I did this. But then I'm just trying to find recommendations that he makes. Yeah, so like this kind of stuff in here. Erosion from construction. This should be pulled out and put into a workable document. I'm trying to look for the,
Marianne,
narrative.
did George get a copy of this?
yeah, so I sent the link to this to a whole bunch of people. And he was the only one, Dimitri was the only one that kind of responded. I think it's so big that it
Yeah.
gets overwhelming and people just
Yeah.
do what I'm doing right now.
Well, he might take it for what it is, but like the, at Cat's Pond, where I know, because you're looking for the, you know, the grants that you're looking into, for the dogwood and everything. But for cats, I know that they, were out there looking at the stormwater runoff. And that's one of the things that, you know, when you're looking through here, it does address some of the areas where there are issues with the basins or, you know,
Right.
culverts and things. So I think if he realizes that it's not really just a natural, that it is both. So if we.
It has both. So
Yes,
here's,
it
this
is.
is the
Yeah.
section. So threats.
Yeah.
So for Katz's Pond, we look up Katz's Pond, and then we look up the threats, you know, water pollution and recommendations. So these are the things like that are in every single park that he evaluated. So if we take out the threats and the recommendations and the photographs that align to that and put it in a working document for open space parks management plan, that's the perfect place for this.
And if he gives us access, are we able to do that? Or is that something that we then have to go back and have him go through?
I don't know that answer to that question. I was going to ask him, but wanted to ask you guys first what you thought about this, like if this is something that we should
I think it's
go
perfect.
forward.
Yeah, I
with.
think it's a great idea. I'd be willing to help on that. You know, I can
Okay.
see having a
If it-
short paragraph on the value of the property, you know, a map of the property, and then very few photos, and then maybe eliminating some of the recommendations and threats that are maybe minor or some could be combined. So it doesn't become, you know, separate, you know, overly long document.
Right,
But no, I think that's a great idea.
okay,
Mel, would you want to call him to see if we
yeah,
would have, you know, if we had the original document, we could, you know, pull these things out. As long as it's an editable document, we could, you know, copy and paste things. So we don't have
Yes.
to retype and everything.
right. He can give it to us in a format that we can, you know, pull things out and change stuff in here.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this a conservation commission thing, although we don't have a quorum right now. So is that appropriate for us to work on something without a quorum? I wonder.
I think we can work on stuff. We just can't, like, you know, vote on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta see. I know some people usually have to split pretty soon. We haven't really
Okay.
gotten all that far in our
Okay.
agenda yet. Who needs to
So,
leave soon? And if you do, anything you want to comment, report on?
thank you. Thank
Well,
you. for-
just a
Yes, sir.
quick note on waste reduction, the
Uh-huh.
composting.
Yes.
We have received a response from Vicky's office that Vicky has a couple of dates she's given us
Yes.
to meet with her and George to present the deck I created on the transfer station.
Yep.
So I think y'all were on it, the folks who
Yes.
were on the original email. But so that's really exciting. We get to preach our gospel on the transfer station, recycling and composting. That's the first week in March.
Yeah.
And then just the Trumbull community women want us to speak at their next meeting on March 2nd at 7 p.m. So I didn't know if anyone was interested in being part of that, who wanted to lead the conversation. Like, I don't consider myself the leader, but I'm happy to do it. But I didn't know if anyone else wanted to join. So you can let me know. I'll send it off
Yeah.
to you. I think some of you were on it already, but they just want
Yes.
to know what we're doing, and might be a good way to get volunteers. And it's some of the Trumbull community women or someone they might know. There's like 30, I think, women on the committees.
And they were talking, and that meeting was for kind of everything, right? Composting, pollinator pathways, kind of covering everything.
Yeah, it's
a lot
really
of
just
things.
to tell them what we're working on, some of the initiatives
Right.
we're working on, and we can spend a little bit more time on pollinator pathway and the tidy up Earth Day thing once we get a little firmer on our Earth Day ideas. But it's also, here are the other things we're doing and what we're working towards, and maybe we can get some more people or students or whatever involved that way.
Our CCSM, hopefully now, Rob signed us up.
Oh,
Part
yeah?
of that, yes, so part of that coalition, which reminded me, and it's still a far way off, and who knows with virus or anything like that, but if the compost, that's one of the areas, oh my God, the Arts Festival might be a good, we couldn't get, well, we weren't allowed to be in there, not last year, the year before. Kevin was trying to get in, or Shelby. And Emily didn't feel like it was a tie-in, but I think if we're able to tie in kind of like some of these other things we're doing, like pollinator and the arts and things like that, a little bit in it, and then give out our composting, sell the composting bins and things. So that, because that has, tons of people.
Well, what Scarsdale did when they were launching their composting program was they were at farmers markets. They were
Yeah.
everywhere, basically. They had a table at the transfer station where they were telling people what to do. So I think it really depends on how well it goes with Vicky and George. If we get kind of buy-in to have a space for those composting bins, which
Hopefully.
what Scarsdale showed us, I think it was just really a mind blower at how little space it required. So we'll see. I think we could certainly go to the Arts Festival. If there's going to be a Trumbull Day, we could have a table there or something there,
Yeah, and then I just meant other than the typical, like the farmer's market. I mean, farmer's market, actually, they do get a lot of people there now. But some of the other events, it's just hard getting gathering spots now, but Parks and Rec might be willing to same thing, sell them, things like that. So we'll see. But anyway, but that's all good.
Yeah, I mean, we could even, I'd be happy to set up a little spot at the beginning of the trail on Tate Road on a Saturday morning, whatever,
Go pick up trash on your break. So super.
Right. Anything else? We got recycling, composting, and trash cleanups. Anything else on that? Any of those? Are we covered?
I am looking into SMART or pay as you throw.
Oh, yeah.
And I did speak to the Department of Public Works at Greenwich. I spoke with him today. Really nice guy that used to live in Trumbull. And he said that they were kind of back and forth on that. They have, their website has a whole bunch of stuff that it looks like they did go for it. But what they ended up doing is they ended up saying, we're either going to do a tipping fee. I think it was like 1.2 million. I'd have to look, but a tipping fee, which would go back to the haulers. So it's charging them that extra money. Tim had put that into one of his budgets one year. And then Vicky came in and it was viewed as it's basically a tax on the residents because it'll pass through. So we don't do that currently here, but Greenwich was like, we're just going to put it on them and it shouldn't be that much that goes on to residents. So they decided not to look at it. And one issue they had was the person that's pushing this in the state, I guess, is also the manufacturer of the bags. So they were a little concerned with that. So I want to look into that. To me, that wouldn't be a make or break, but it just seemed a little off. And then there's also you have to sign up for a certain amount of time or you have to pay a penalty if you don't continue with the program. So that I want to look at as well, because I don't know what the time frame is for that. And I'm sorry, totally separate. Electric school buses, a grant came out. I was on one of the meetings for it, but we're not eligible for it. Our school bus is, but it's only certain parts. So that looks like it's way too costly. So we're going to be out of that realm for a while, but I did send to the chief about electric vehicles. And I'm saying that because I don't have my agenda, so I don't even know if that was on there. But I did send to the chief about the electric. So we'll see if there was any thought on that or if that got lost during the COVID.
Just quickly, one more thing on composting. I spoke to Nick at Curbside Compost, and he told me that he has about 15 homes signed up in Trumbull already, and that the pricing that he gave us at the end of 2019 is still in effect. So
now the Greenwich guy had said, you probably shouldn't have said it to me, but they got some deal with Nick for his carding because I guess the parent company that owns them or whatever it was for their haulers as well, but he was able to work a good deal. So I mean, I'm wondering if the same thing, if we can, and I know it's a business, but if we're going to bring in home business and if we are going to use him for the town and we're 3 towns, not just one, I mean, hopefully he would be able to give us some sort of a deal.
Well, if George is on board with having
I
him
think
do the
your
hauling,
yeah, I think your pictures will get him on board. As I said, his whole thing was vermin, you know, smell. I mean, those pictures looked fantastic. I mean, I would be doing it in a minute. So,
well, the real, I think for us, we'll talk before this meeting in March, obviously, but I think we should really get George and someone else, if possible, down to Scarsdale.
Can we offer the curbsides just irrelevant to whether the transfer station approves the collection? Just like I was just wanting to add about the textile, that curbside textile collection that they do in Stratford. Could we just offer that? And just
Why
put that
not?
as like a link on our newly revised webpage of, you know, waste management solutions, residential waste management solutions, a
I don't
tab
see
or
why
something.
not. I mean,
And
one
offer
doesn't,
that.
one doesn't
Yeah.
displace the other.
yeah,
Right.
curbside would be great to have. And again, I was hoping we could do it with the tie-in with the transfer station, but if we look like we're going to be pushed out, then
Right.
there's no reason. I mean, it's already been put out there. If he's getting clients, you know, that would be great. The Stratford, the textile is not going to work because they're down for COVID.
Right,
But I
right.
do
Once they
have an
resume.
email into Vicky about the bins at the schools. And I did speak with Bay State, and they said it probably is best to do it in a more easily accessible, visible place like the schools when you're starting this up, so people know that they are there. So if we can get those in as a start, you know, it's $100 a ton, which is good, and get those in and then still work on the transfer station.
There's always going to be someone that wants it at their curb. They're not going to want to go to the transfer station. So I don't think one displaces the other or usurps the other. So I think it's great.
Oh, yeah, no, I just meant it's not terrible that we're not getting the big bin at the transfer right yet because,
No,
you know,
I know.
yeah.
I was answering Marty.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
And Pam, that could be like back to the renters. Maybe we could promote it to apartment complexes. Just a side thought, but anyway,
Yeah.
I don't want to digress. We could talk offline
It
about.
could be
some
restaurants
options.
too. I mean, what do restaurants do with all their food scraps?
No. Speaking of restaurants, that's one of the things I'm going to work on with the students. Some of you know, we're going to model after this town in California that has a great program of Ask First. And they're going to put together some information where restaurants can ask before they give away single-use plastic disposable utensils, napkins, things like that. And we might even promote the Surf Riders, ocean-friendly restaurants. So anything we want to target restaurants, you can send over ideas. I'll propose to the students. So I'm hoping the health department will be on board to hand out a flyer as they do their restaurant inspections. My husband does that in another town, and he said that would probably be feasible. So let's hope we can get that going.
Rena should have a list, and I know a lot of them don't check their emails anyway, but there should be a list available of all the businesses, like the ones that are still in the mall. So at least that way, even to just say, we're getting this started, here's information, and you know, as long as the health department is, I don't see why they wouldn't be good with it. But I mean,
They have
that's
to
a
go
great,
anyway.
yeah, that's
And
a
like you
great
said, it
way.
was great to have like a little magnet or a sticker or something. That's what this city in California has. I don't know how we'll be able to fund it, but I reached
You
out
know
and
what?
heard back from Abe.
They're not that expensive. I did them for the senior discount program,
Oh.
and they actually came out really, they looked really nice, and they were just little squares, but they were, so you just put them up on like the door of the restaurant going in,
Oh,
you know, or
okay.
you could put it if you chose at the cash register or whatever, but it's just something that pops up, but they're not, I mean, I would buy them. They're not that expensive. And-
Okay,
And
yeah.
I'm so sick of plastic things and straws. I think it'd be, it's great. So
Right. Okay.
independent. And when are they
Speaking-
starting that? Is that, could that be,
We're gonna meet this week and hopefully get something, a little bit of a structure going, so.
now, is that gonna go towards equity?
It can, I guess, that could be a project the students think of, yeah.
Okay.
They've expressed interest in doing
I think
that.
that's great, and I love the kids are doing it.
And then it doesn't really fall under anything, but I know at least my daughter and a couple of the girls that she knows in the group that have expressed interest in working on some legislation action and outreach to passing some of these local bills. I think they have a meeting this week. I don't know.
There's on the
Nope.
25th, I don't know if I sent that or not. I signed up for something. It's like a registration fee. It was $50. So I'm sure the kids wouldn't be interested. But they are talking about the unit pricing, so like pay as you
Oh,
throw. They're talking
right.
about that. It's basically all the stuff that was going on at those CCSMM. I wish they had less initials
I
meetings.
know.
But the bottle bill is one of the ones that's on
Yeah.
there, which I'd love to get a good update on that, you know.
Well, I have an update on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Well, because I was kind of asked to volunteer with the League of Women Voters to work on their bottle bill. And I don't know that I'm going to have the bandwidth at the time to do it, but they really feel like the bottle bill is going to pass.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Mhm.
So there's a lot, there's a very big lobby of alcoholic beverage people that are against it, but it
Right.
sounds like the tide has turned a little bit to get 10 cents per bottle, and also to try to get alcoholic beverages, nips, and sports drinks on board as well. So
I'm sure the kids are still, I always think that's a great idea as we run around parks and pick up nip bottles. But those kids are still just gonna throw them out the windows. They're not gonna go back with them. But,
where they've increased from 5 cents to 10 cents, the,
Your alcoholics will.
well,
oh yeah, you're right.
in
No,
towns
but
or
yeah.
municipalities or states where they have more than 5 cents a bottle, the return rate is much, much higher. I think we're at 50% in Connecticut.
Oh, it's really, it's a huge difference. I just have a funny feeling kids don't care. They're still gonna,
Right.
it's easier to chuck it, but you're right, April. Other people, like if I had somebody who's coming over for a special drink and I needed a nip bottle size, I would bring it back just because I'm so used to it, and especially for 10 cents, I think people, it's, bring them to the high school. Bring your nips bottles. So.
Watch what you say there. Bring your nips bottles to the high school.
I know, it
I'm not
wasn't
sure
sounding
you're-
right.
Recycling event.
I'm not sure you
Bring
want to
them
say
here,
it just
Mary,
that
bring them
way.
here.
Oh boy, okay. What was I gonna say? Geez, now it just went totally out.
Sorry.
I got.
That'll come to me.
So yeah, so some of you, I know Brianna, you said is interested, Mari, and some of the other kids were interested in the legislative end of things. So
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so we got an email saying the environmental committee has their open session this week. So I don't know what they'll be able to contribute or if it's a little too rushed or last minute, but we're gonna look into it
Right.
tonight together.
yeah, that's a tough one for the students to know exactly what to do because it's so,
Yeah. Especially since
Right.
I'm guiding them and I don't know what to do, but this is how we
Yeah, I
figure it
know.
out.
it's
We're
tricky.
learning on the fly.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Anything else on waste
Sorry,
reduction?
one last thing. April, did
Yes.
we need to send anything to the Alicia about the having the Trex box there?
Who's
Did I have her
Alicia?
send? Vicky's secretary.
It's already at town hall.
No, I know, but do we need to send anything so that she can send it out saying, here's all the things that you can throw in here. It's down in the basement,
George was given all the information and the flyers, and I believe he was going to take care of that.
Perfect. Okay, good.
Since we're talking about Trex, the next box is being delivered to the library on Wednesday. And hopefully I'll be able to get some flyers to them as well for their staff. So they'll have one just for their staff at their building as we're getting boxes and stuff in their building, on books and stuff. And then the last one, I'm still hoping for the Board of Ed, which I just got an email back from the super suggesting a meeting for either like the 22nd, 23rd, or 25th of February, if anyone's available at like 2:45. We could do a Google Meet with him and talk about the initiatives we are putting through for the schools, and then kind of what the bigger picture that we're looking for or that they might need coming up in the cafeterias when and if the phone bill gets passed, they're going to be screwed. So we're going to, I think coming up with a plan with them and for them might be helpful.
Yeah, loop me into that. Any emails on that? I will try to be involved on that, April.
Okay.
That's great, April.
Yeah. All right.
Would anyone else want to try to come to that meeting, or I'll loop you in on the emails?
You can include me. My schedule gets a little choppy at the end of the month, but if I'm available, I'd love to go.
If you need an extra hand, I'm around. If you plenty of people, that's fine.
You got me, April, right?
Okay, sounds great.
Right. Is there anything to report on the energy or transportation, whether it's idling or anything in municipal buildings? Do we have anything baseline data yet?
No, not yet, but that's just a question for Mary, and I was hoping Rob, like just a couple of things. One is about the solar form. Can we go back to building? I think we'll try to do that to get the 10 points if we can on the one that was the old 4.6. As for going forward, I reached out to Westport to see if they were getting any points for their home energy solutions event that they kind of had running through March to have people do energy audits. I mean, how much do we want to push? I'll be honest, residential energy efficiency is not my background or area of expertise. I can try to put forth some effort if it's on the minimal side, but do we want to go that route, or do we want to hold out and hope that the new hire under George will have an interest in energy analysis? I mean, they kind of can't avoid it going forward. They have to
And I think
look
it's-
at the energy use and address it to some extent, just as from a budget perspective, if not a sustainability.
I think the residential side of it, we can get, that's, I said, their campaign per se really isn't that extensive, and it runs through the end of March. So that's what I figure, if we can do that rather quickly. But if we could just put the information up there, steer people to it on Facebook, have it come out from the sustainable group. I think part of it, when I was looking at, I think it is more, I don't know if they're coming out to the houses though, at this point, or if they're doing more, maybe like a virtual walkthrough, and they'll advise you on things. And so I wasn't sure, but there was so much interest in that on that mom's page, so that I just thought, it ties in with what we're doing, and it does tell people it's out there. I mean, we did it years ago, and I remember like all of our light bulbs they put in free LED bulbs, and it was pretty wild. So, but that, if we can check that off with that, I mean, I'm happy to do that if you're, running in 20 million other directions, and just keep it simple and see what we get,
Yeah, I like I said, I reached out. If you want to collectively work together, I could, do some emails and things. If you can kind of get them pushed on the town level forward, that would be helpful. We can work together a little bit. But I just wasn't sure how we went about picking a solar provider and trying to, suggest.
Well, this was
people
just
reach
the,
out.
yeah,
This
this
is
was
just
just
the
the energy. This was just the residential one. I was thinking to cross that one off. For solar, Rob's gone. I'd sent to Rob to ask him, because we did whoever we used the last time, I don't know if there's rationale, and they have like the preferred list, and there is one or two. When we put our solar on, it was, I don't even know if it was referenced through the town or not, but there was a big push for solar on like the various Facebook pages and things. So, that's really what, I'll ask Rob that if there is one solar, but it
Mary,
is,
maybe for this one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'd say, I just don't know when that hire is going to come in.
Yeah.
Bill knows, he's in all the meetings, we'll ask Bill. So I don't
Maybe
know
for
if
the residential home energy thing, like to classify it as more of a campaign for like the kickoff, maybe we can have a representative from the Energize CT. I don't even, would that be a UI representative or somebody just to explain what they offer, have it at a certain time. And then from there, people could schedule, if that's even necessary, to get the points. I don't know. Maybe we could just spread the word. That's what I was kind of hoping to hear back from Westport of what they were actually doing, other than putting a post on Facebook. Well,
I mean,
okay,
there's
so let's
different
discuss
levels.
it after.
There's different levels of energy audits. We had a couple done. One is just basically, walk through, do you have LED lights, or just done, a virtual one. They also can come in, look at, do you have recessed lights? And do you go in the attic and seal those off, because air can leak out through those? Then the most extreme one is they put an exhaust fan and they measure the airflow into your house. And then, so either like very good, very poor, anything in between. So that way, when you're blowing air out of the house, the air leaks into your house through recessed lights, outlets, switches. I mean, you can actually feel on a windy day, if you're not sealed, your wall switches on the outside of your house, on an outside wall, you'll feel the air coming through. and that's not a good thing, but that's kind of the extreme. But I mean, just the LED lights alone, that can be a really major deal. But I think, was it Mary? I forgot who said it, but they'll either give you free LEDs or LEDs that are really cheap, much cheaper than you'd buy them, say, at Home Depot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
those
I'm
are
just not
good.
sure what they're doing with COVID, if they are actually going into the house or doing it separately,
Yeah,
so.
it may not be a great time to come in right now.
But
Well,
if we
they're
get some
offering it though,
points
so
off
let's see
it,
what they're offering.
yeah,
What?
they have it through the end of March, and if we can get some points and point
Yeah.
people in the right direction, I think it's definitely worth doing it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and then I'll check with Rob on the solar aspect, but I said, that position is still sitting, it's just sitting there vacant. You know, and I don't know. I will ask Vicky. I'm not sure if we're, I mean, it was, since it was budgeted, it shouldn't be that it's a frozen, but it might just be that things are sitting in place, but there is still just a freeze on anybody coming in at that point. But, you know, we're in the next budget, so I'm hopeful.
Now, Mary, that's just a town solar on town.
The other side, the
structures?
Board of Ed, while they weren't as accurate as they had hoped in the amount that they would be saving, and they had invested in a lot of the solar, and they're still doing it. Like, we're putting a new roof on Middlebrook soon, so they'll put solar on that. So they pretty much are keeping up on that side of it, their energy, you know, efficiency and all. The town has not done any of that, so there's no benchmark. And so we really need to take a look at, and the same things, those, what are they called? The virtual metering, virtual metering. I mean, I would love to see some of that if we can do it as well. But I mean, George is like, you know, really just doing it all himself. There's nobody that's there to help with these kind of, you know, initiatives which need to be done. So that's what that other person was supposed to be coming in. So hopefully soon. That would be energy, you know, recycling. It's everything, efficiencies. So you know, hopefully that will come shortly.
I swear by solar. We haven't had an electric bill except the $12 hookup fee. Our last bill was $12. And normally it would be $150 to $180 probably this time of the year.
Cool.
Do we get any points for pushing residential solar? I wonder.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Because,
why we're talking this.
yeah, because I don't know if there's a look back, how far it would be, but Trumbull has a fair amount of solar already on homes. I mean, you can't drive a mile probably and not see one or two, you know, solar installations.
that's the thing, Mary, to be honest. I mean, Richard, the look back for the previous campaign has come and gone.
Yeah.
The Sustainable Connecticut requires a push for solar, not just the number of houses. There is some points to be obtained by doing some energy tracking and develop an energy plan. But as you can hear from the language I'm using, it's very involved what they require. They want a lot of tracking for municipal buildings. They want baseline usage and then implementation of renewable energy and tracking. For residential, it's similar. So you have to put a campaign, not just a number of houses with solar on them.
Yeah, and we
The
haven't
technology
pushed
is
it.
here.
Yeah, we haven't pushed it in a while, so.
All right, that's all.
Anything else on energy or transportation? Nope. Good. Then we've got equity and outreach. So we talked about equity pretty much. I think we covered.
Good. Outreach too, we're good.
Yep, and outreach, we covered that, right? So other than, I don't know, any other towns, we talked about some of the other towns that we've been working with. I guess the only other thing I really wanted to try to fill out was for Earth Week. We're talking about, and it's all tentative, but maybe a day for pollinator pathway and one for invasives and one for cleanups and one for toxin-free lawns, maybe.
Well, if you all want to send me your ideas, I'll compile a list.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Pam, you're
Pam, I
on.
already started it. Some of you may not have seen it. A couple hours ago, I sent out an email. I put a link on the drive, just a Google Docs, where people could, you know, edit that one suggestion would be start, maybe use that as a vehicle to start an outline of what we want to cover. And that outline then could be used to actually do the presentation. And Mary, if you can't get to it, you should be able to read it anyway. But there's a topic there, and then a little place for text. And also put, my thought we did for Earth Day, we would put, our name, who's the lead on that particular issue, and how much time it might take. But in this case, we would take maybe X hours a day, whatever that time might be. And also the email, I did talk to Kathy in Vicky's office this afternoon, just to see if Vicky had any thoughts, preferences. Would she want to give a little statement, or writing, or a little video, or whatever? And this was, I volunteered to kind of coordinate the overall thing.
Fine. I haven't had time to look at your document yet, but if we're talking about 7 days of activities,
Yeah.
that's not on there, right?
Well, actually, I left one little paragraph, you'll see it, per topic. And what we could do is we could put a date on there. We'd have basically 6 topics plus Earth Day, might be a separate event or not. And the idea would be the Zoom would be live. We could take the recording of that and put that on YouTube. Could be links on Facebook, and then on community TV. And I was going to contact Laura Walden. She's the contact that Kathy told me to call. I think I've talked to her before, maybe. And just to make sure that she's in the loop on that.
Right, no, that's all good. I think that just for the ideas for the different events, if we want to, I'm sure there's going to be more than 7 ideas. So
Oh, yeah.
if that's the place, the place we want to start to load them, that's fine. If you want to make that your actionable sheet. But I just was thinking about the exchange of ideas of what we could do on those different days.
Yeah, so going off of what Pam just said, I just moved into that same folder some movie suggestions that I was been gathering, and some short video clips on different topics that may be great conversational starters for across town.
Okay.
And I'll start putting in there as well possibly some events for some students and the kids around town, and how we could get them involved, or some make and takes for them to be involved in Earth Day, in Earth Week, because that would be great.
April, you talked about the Earth Week? Or
Yep.
Earth Day? Okay, good.
Yep.
And
I did put a link on there. I made a PDF of the earthday.org, who's coordinating this worldwide, Earth Day worldwide. And also, if we want to register our event, then we could be on their site. So that's another thing to talk about, whether or not we want to register, quote, our event, whatever that might be. Which might be a
sorry,
cool
just
thing.
remind me, Bay State does have an education piece, April. So that doesn't have to be part of Earth Week, but it just reminded me when you're saying for students. So they do something, and I haven't looked into what they do, but that'll be something for future that we can just get out there too.
By the way, this is Earth Day number 51. And I was in the first Earth Day. I was a freshman at college in Missoula, Montana, to date myself.
I'm doing the math, Richard, but I won't say.
I'm
He
only
started when he was
40.
5.
That's right. You were a child.
I started
prodigy.
college at 4 years old.
Maybe by the next meeting, we should have our agenda at least set for Earth Week, so each of us can plan whichever event we were
Yeah.
hoping.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'll
Sorry.
invite you guys, use that document.
Oh, I
If
have
it
to
works,
go.
if it doesn't, make suggestions. I'd be willing to modify that, but just have a place to capture all the ideas. I put extra, I used a
Right, yep.
format, and I
Yep.
added a bunch of blank little paragraphs, which you'll see. So you can, add however many you want to add up there, and then we can, narrow it down and, pick days to do those and so on.
So I talked to a couple of people already, but I don't know how this works because we're a committee, but I do know that people like to attend events or discussions or movies if there's some sort of prize. So I didn't know if, because we're associated now with the town and we're official, if we were allowed to give out prizes. And by prizes, I mean, hey, they attend a pollinator event and they listen to the Pollinator Pathway speak, and maybe somebody wins through a Spin the Wheel app, and we could deliver a pollinator plant to their house that they could plant.
Oh, there
That
you
would get
go.
donated. But I don't know if we're allowed to look for those donations at this time. Mary,
Okay.
would you know that, or Bill, or somebody from the town know the answer to that question?
I sent to Dan Shopik.
Okay.
And so he's the town attorney, so he should be able to tell us. I mean, there's certain rules, like we're doing a Democratic fundraiser. So of course we can't, you can't have, unless you go through, jumping through hoops to have any kind of raffle prizes. If you call something a door prize, you're able to do that. So it might be that even just, huh?
We could have door prizes.
Oh,
I don't
that's
care.
what
I
I
was
mean.
just thinking of things that would really
Yeah.
attach to
Yeah.
the theme and what we're trying to tackle and accomplish to give some more buy-in for exactly what we're trying to do across the town.
Yeah,
But we got to start that now in order to get those or get people on board with giving something.
no, I think it's great. Yeah, I thought you were gonna go like local restaurants and stuff, and I'm
Nope.
like, oh, I felt so
Nope.
bad. That's what I'm like, I'll buy the gift cards.
Nope.
So, but that's perfect. Those are
Yeah.
great. So hopefully do we have a meeting tonight? No. So if I should hear from Dan tonight by some point, I would think, or tomorrow morning.
That's cool. Otherwise, I'd say just do it. Mari, you said you have to go.
I do.
that right?
I'm looking for a comment to raise my hand. I can't.
Yes.
All right, I have to run. I'll catch you guys on emails. Thank you.
All right, I think we're just about done. Thanks,
Bye.
Mari.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
I've got to go too. Otherwise, my dog will be an official panelist. He's looking for lunch at this point. So
Mine are all
All right,
napping
everybody. I
and
think-
snoring.
I think we're good.
So, okay, so we're set. Oh, Richard, one thing, I'm sorry. Do you have any ability / interest to look at the watershed area to see if there's areas based on the findings in the NRI and your obvious being on the Conservation Commission, your knowledge from that, to take the watershed area? There's a bunch under the watershed.
Yeah, I'll look at that. Yeah, I think
You
that's a
guys-
great idea to do what we've
Yeah,
been
man.
talking about. Oh, Mayor, one quick question about town council and Earth Day, Earth Week. Has any discussion come up on that?
Mary Ellen is going to, I found a proclamation from, I don't know where, I think Dallas. But Mary Ellen, you found, you said you were going to use either Fairfield or Westport's proclamation, I believe.
Yeah, or Newtown, actually. Newtown had the
Newtown.
first one. It was a really good one. So we can just kind of copy that and have a nice one printed with a seal and then have Vicky sign it. Yeah, that would be a great time to have it signed at Earth Day Proclamation, Pollinator Pathway. So,
Yeah, I couldn't find new towns, and that's just couldn't find any locals. I was typing everything in. So that, yeah, I think that'll be the time for that. I don't know, based on Sustainable Connecticut, if we have to have an ordinance passed, definitely, like a resolution, or if it can simply be a proclamation. So,
okay.
um,
All right, here to Mary. I will get it and send it to you.
super.
And we'll just copy it.
okay, bye guys.
Okay,
Bye,
bye.
ma'am.
Bye.
See you next time.
Okay, anything else that we did miss that we have to do? Or are we done?
We're done.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So everybody has next steps for finding areas and trying to get them done as quickly as possible.
Sounds good.
Okay, super. Okey doke.
See y'all.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Bill.
Carol, I'm
Thanks
gonna
again,
shoot you an
Bill.
email. Yeah, thank you, Bill. Good luck with your task.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.